Hi everybody, it's Az here from Heal vs Babyface. Now I'm here in Flexi Raiding once more, Gates of Retribution level of difficulty, and we're on the third of the 4 bosses which were brought in, and this is the Dark Shaman. Now instead of just going through tactics like I have been doing with like the LFR section, when I'm doing the Flexi difficulty videos, I'm showing you the fight, but I'm actually picking a topic of conversation and mainly dealing with Flexi difficulty versus LFR difficulty, because Flexi is this brand new level of difficulty which has come in patch 5.4, and difficulty wise it sits between LFR and normal raiding and involves a lot more than just what LFR has to offer. So I'm trying to, in my own way, see if whether or not we can legitimately justify LFR as a means of raiding, or whether or not there is no justification for it whatsoever. And in the first video I just drew some general comparisons. In the second video, which was the Iron Juggernaut, I went into levels of cooperation. Now this video I'm going to go into levels of communication, because make no bones about it, this is a messy kill when we actually finally do down them. And I believe this is our 5th attempt. We've wiped 4 times previously. We probably should have destroyed them on the 2nd attempt out of the 5, but I won't say who, but one person forgot to time warp. Without mentioning any classes, somebody forgot to time warp. No matter how much we were crying out for it, it never ever came. And at the end of the fight, at the wipe, they did apologise and they were more aware. And this is just it. And this is why I want to discuss communication. Because at the end of the fights, when we were wiping, if you're in Raid Finder, 99% of the time, a bitch war starts. People just start biting. They start getting abusive. They start getting negative, and it leads to a very nasty environment with which to raid. That's the people that stay. Never mind the people that just quit out, can't be bothered, etc, etc. What was very refreshing on the Flexi difficulty, and bear in mind, I don't know these people who I'm with. This is a complete pug. They don't know who I am. Is when we wiped, we actually discussed, not in depth, I'm not saying we sat down with pens and papers and PowerPoint profiles and all this kind of crap. We just briefly discussed where the problem was. And on the very first wipe, I believe actually one of the tanks said, look, it was probably me, because I think I put the boss in a difficult position for me to get out of, and we got trapped by the foul streams and the whirlwinds and the walls and all this kind of stuff, and it had an effect on the raid because it kind of bottlenecked everybody and we all got a bit stuck. Second attempt, we probably would have done it, and no doubt we would have done it if time warp had been hit, but sadly it never came. And then on the 3rd and 4th attempts, again we discussed positioning of the bosses and what went wrong and little things like that. But it was good that we were identifying where we thought the issues were and just trying to remedy them. And on the 4th time, we just accepted that it didn't quite go according to plan. So after the 3rd wipe and we did the 4th time, we just went straight into the fight. We knew what we wanted to do, it just didn't happen. But not once was there any bitchiness, biting, recriminations, any of that kind of jazz. These were 10, 11 people here that just wanted to succeed, and we wanted to identify where the mistakes were, and we wanted to accomplish that. Something which is just not in LFR. It's just something which doesn't exist whatsoever. The communication levels, you could say, are 90% negative, and I wouldn't even say 10% positive. I'd probably say something along the lines of 10% relatively normal. And it's a sad fact though, but the vast majority of communication which tends to begin in LFR starts on a negative footing. Somebody wants to shout at somebody. Somebody just wants to shout full stop. Somebody wants to bring up some recriminations against the healers, against the tanks, against the DPS. And it just makes the whole environment just somewhat distasteful. So when we have Flexi raiding, which is of a difficulty level which sits between LFR and normal raiding, doesn't take all the time in the world to complete by any stretch of the imagination. In actual fact, I've gone through some flexies already, even in the 2 or 3 weeks which I've been doing it, a lot quicker than I've actually gone through some LFRs. And yet, I've still had to communicate and cooperate, and have been in a much better environment, full stop, than the vast, vast majority of LFRs that I have ever come across. Now, I understand that the Blizzard developers put a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of love into creating this raid content. I sincerely thank and appreciate them for that. But does that necessarily mean that everybody has the right to see it? I personally don't believe so. I don't think it's as simple as I pay my subscription fee, ergo I deserve to see all the content, especially when that person in question doesn't even have the simple respect to communicate properly with their fellow players, and they don't have the respect to learn the mechanics of the fight the way the developer intended it to be. There's got to be other content for these players, and there is. There's PvP, there's dungeons, there's scenarios, there's dailies, there's achievement hunting, there's timeless isles, there's all manner of things which they can do. It's not an excuse to say I haven't got the time, because flexi raiding doesn't take longer than LFR if you learn to cooperate and communicate with your fellow raiders. But I would love to hear your comments below, so please do write them down. And also, like the video by giving it a big thumbs up. And if you like, you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook and twitch.tv/heel versus babyface for live streaming. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye bye.